Hi everyone, welcome. Welcome to today's Philly Codefest workshop. It's okay to fail, and we're thrilled to be working with our friends at WiCS, who we putting on the workshop. Just to fill everybody in, this is part of the Philly Codefest workshop series leading up to Philly Codefest. I'm going to turn things over to Trang from WiCS, and she will present It's Okay to Fail. Take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Dave. Well, hello everyone. Good morning. I'm excited to have you all with me in the panels today. So I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully no technical issues. Okay, can you guys see my presentation? Google Chrome browser. Oh, okay, sweet. All right, well, so to begin with, I would like to introduce our panel first. So today we have Tâm and Phi and me will be leading the panel with Dave's help. So first off, I would like to define what it means to fail. This is not by any mean referring to failing a class or like getting rejected for a position. It's rather about setting bars for yourself that you once expected to reach, but you didn't accomplish it in that moment specifically. And you know, as we know, nothing is really bad as it seems. It's only temporary, even failure, and you have to trust the process. So a little bit more introduction, just kind of like information slides. So about me, I'm a computer science student in my 4th year, and I'm a senior graduating Drexel University, and I will be coming into Susquehanna International Group as a software engineer. This is where I co-opt and intern for my 2 co-ops at Drexel.
Hi, my name is Tamphy. I'm a computer engineering student, 4th year at Drexel, and I'm a incoming automation intern at Apple for the spring summer.
So we have a few questions prepared to just kind of guide us through the story. So the first question is, we would be sharing a story. Can you share a story about time that you faced a setback? So Tâm, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. So I would say usually I pick the easy way out. So to me, I don't think that that's like a failure a lot, but I would say like last spring summer, I was like doing a co-op and being on school at the same time. And at this point in my life, I had already been in school. Excuse me. At this point in my life, I was already in school for like 2 years straight without a break. And it was also during the pandemic. So like I haven't been home to see my family at all for 2 years. I was doing a job that I didn't feel too motivated about because like it was unpaid, and at that point I was also like supporting myself financially. So I didn't feel a lot of motivation, and I feel really burned out because I didn't think I performed well at my job at all, and I didn't think that I was doing well academically. Because I just also switched from mechanical to like computer, so like there was a lot of change in my life at that point, and I didn't feel sure. But yeah, overall, I just have the feeling of burnout and self doubt.
Yeah, so for me, so I think I've already answered the next question, but I'm just gonna play out all the questions on the slide so people can follow. But yeah, so for me personally, I'd like to like kind of link it with the hackathon for the theme of Philly Codefest. I think one of the most important like lesson that I learned was during a hackathon technica at Boston. this was like a new place for me, and I was only a sophomore, and I didn't have a lot of background in coding yet. It's only very much been like freshman classes, and I was struggling with kind of learning a new language completely just over the weekends, since this was a hackathon that only lasted on like the 3 days weekend. And I was struggling, but my teammates had already experienced coding in this language before. It was just Django and web app development, but I was still new to this, so I felt very discouraged and frustrated being in a different place, and not having like going through kind of this new environment and being in a new place. I didn't take the best care of myself. I didn't sleep. I kind of tried to pull through the whole 3 days of the weekend, drinking monsters, drinking caffeinated drinks, and didn't have enough hydration. So yeah, there was a lot of emotions involved. There was a lot of fear because I was scared that I wouldn't be able to finish the hackathon on time, have a working product for my project. And I was angry at myself because I wasn't capable enough to do my part of the team. And I was also insecure because I was dragging down the teammates that was doing really good job at their part. So yeah, there was a lot of insecurities, a lot of self-doubt and self-invalidation happening. So Tam, do you have other like aspects during your setback that made you felt more like it was a permanent and created more impact than it needed to be?
Yeah, I would say so. So like I have said before, like at that point in my life, I have a lot of changes, and this was like the first co-op after I changed my major. So
Mm-hmm.
like first co-op related to my new major. So a lot of at that time, I just asked myself like, oh, like why am I sticking with computer engineering? Like, is it like the future for me? Because I was doing something that I did enjoy, but like in my mind previously, I thought it's something that I would be enjoying. So I just have a lot of questions for myself, like, oh, should I stick with this? Maybe should I should take a gap year. Maybe I shouldn't be doing this anymore. So yeah, it's just a lot of question that I have for myself that result in like burnout and self-doubt and
Yeah.
self-invalidation.
Yeah, you kind of got into your head a little bit too much, right? Like you start thinking, overthinking, and then it couldn't stop going down that tunnels. I think I've really been there, like personally, having been through like kind of 4 years here.
Yeah,
We,
and I think the thing is like if you go like I feel like most people have LinkedIn this day, right? And you go on LinkedIn or any form of social media and you see that people are so successful, like oh they got a job at a fan company, they just win their hackathon project. So you begin to like
exactly.
ask yourself those kind of question also like am I good enough, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. That's interesting because I actually did that too. Even though it was like not during the hackathon, but prior
Hmm.
to that, I've the reason why kind of in the beginning I was doing a hackathon was now I don't do that anymore, but in the beginning it was kind of like, oh, people are doing so many projects like sophomore, even without like FANG
Hmm.
offers, internships, they had like a lot of prizes and they could put in their like awards in the LinkedIn section, and I'd be
Hmm.
like scrolling and seeing these updates, and it made me feel like I wasn't doing enough. And that's how I got into hackathon in the beginning. But I think
Yeah.
it's important to like know that it's not about that. Like you should have the right idea, you should have the right motivation to do something, and you should do it because you want to do it, right? Like it's hard to see other people that you don't know succeed. It's kind of like, oh, this stranger is doing well. Like if it was your friend, it'd be different a little bit, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So I think the comparison of yourself with others really does add to the aspects of setback for me as well.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think that was spot on.
mhm. So okay, so we're gonna move on to how do we get back up from there when we face are faced with an obstacle or a failure according to our own definition, right? So yeah, how do you cut out those aspects that like really destroy kind of your workflow, and what are some ways that you can avoid doing this or help kind of rewire your brain during this time? And how did you
Mhm.
what did you learn from your setback after?
Yeah, Chan, I can go first.
Mhm.
So I would say like, I don't know like if you guys hear the same thing throughout your freshman year, but like my co-op or like my academic advisor would always say it takes 4 weeks or like 8 weeks to form a new habit, right? So like 2 months. And so like the journey or like the process of forming this habit is actually pretty hard too because you gotta remind yourself every day that, oh, I need to do this. I need to do this. I need to do the same thing to make myself this way. And so for me, I would say I didn't cut out those habits at all until like I would say I wouldn't say cut out, but like finding a way to cope with it more like recently. Um so for me it was like surrounding myself with some source of positivity, like no matter how minor. So for me back then, I was working in a group with a group student for my co-op. So I feel like I was really unmotivated, but like my teammates or like my coworker were like more motivated, and they would be saying in the group like, "Oh, let's meet up to do work. Let's meet up to do work," because the co-op was also online, but it was also research based. So we'd have to be working in like a group setting, and we would have to like work together. So they would be asking me to meet up and um work together, and also I was hang out like my friend at that time, like Ari. I think you guys like most of you guys know Ari. So my friend Ari at that time, she was working also like for a unpaid internship, but she was really enjoying her internship, and it felt like she learned a lot. So for me, I was like finding other source of positivity to channel through myself, whether it's like from your from your like from your friend, from your environment, or like from anything. Just try your best to find a source of positivity to look forward to. And
Yeah,
yes.
I love that. Sorry, I keep muting myself and forgetting. Um, yeah, I think that's really important, focusing on the things that matter, and even though it's small, it really makes a difference. Um, I think focusing on more happy things, more important things that uh, can contribute to your success. So I think one of the things that I did was celebrating for those that actually uh, that for those that I know personally and people that I knew in my life, and use it as a motivation and inspiration rather than kind of beating myself down for it. And I think another thing that I did personally was talking to people that was going through the process with me, that people that would actually be able to personally relate to my experience. For the hackathon, then it would just be my team members. Assuming that they were doing fine was not a really a good thing, because I didn't know that for sure. I felt like I was falling behind, but technically it was a stressful time. I mean, it's 3 days project, right? Like everyone's kind of on the line there. We're all on edge a little bit, and we all have our own struggle and different obstacles. So sharing that can really help, and just talking it out. And I think stepping away, like having a distraction from the issue at hand by trying to just kind of like learn other things or taking a break could be really helpful. Um, I think besides kind of those things that are more mental, like actual health, health matters, like self-care for mental health and physical health can be really helpful as well. Whenever you're feeling down, even if it's like the day, like it could be a monthly thing, but just constantly reminding yourself that you matter and you should take a break, get some sleep, get some food, and get some water. It really does change, just kind of stepping up from the table, going away for a walk, hanging out with your friends. really is important. Um, yeah, so I think that really answered kind of the first two questions. Do you have like more to add about how what you learned from your setback?
Yeah, I would say like I'm still learning. Like I
Mhm.
feel like I never really cut out my bad habits, like
Yeah,
totally, but I would say like I'm still in the learning process. So what I learned about this, my experience is that your physical environment matters a lot. I would say a lot of those time my lack of motivation or like my lack of uh discipline come from the fact that I was staying in my room. Right?
mm,
It was like my excuse for the summer is that oh my God, it's so hot outside. I would rather not go outside. And then my excuse for the winter is that oh my God, it's so cold outside. I wanted to not go outside.
yeah,
So like not only like from my feeling of burnout, but it also like the physical environment that make me feel like, oh, if I'm in my room all day, I don't want to do anything and I just want to like take a nap. So I would
yeah,
say other than like mentally channeling some sort of positivity from outside, but also find like like something in your daily life that would make you feel more like relaxed, like physically. Like whether it's going out for a walk, grabbing a coffee, or just like going outside for 10 minutes. Yeah.
yeah.
So I would say yeah.
I agree. I agree. That is so important, especially after our COVID. I mean, it's been a year, but we
Hmm.
did have a really rough time just kind of switching to suddenly staying inside the whole time. And it was kind of a rare, like rewarding to get to walk outside. And every
Hmm.
time that I did get to take a walk, I personally have like a lot of hobbies that have to do with outdoors activities, like
Uh-huh.
skating, hiking. So it was really hard for me to like change that, right?
Yeah.
To go back inside and not have that change of physical surrounding. I think one thing that you could do when you don't have that change of like physical surrounding is being aware that it's okay for you to, if you have had a day where you didn't go outside, you didn't relax, and you didn't even be productive, like you didn't do anything, that's okay as well. Because if you just guilt yourself about it, if you keep beating yourself down that you didn't have a good day, then you just
Hmm.
end up having another not good day. So kind
Hmm.
of wrapping it up, tying a bow and say, okay, that was not a good day. We're gonna move on and we're gonna have a better day next day. And making, I think one of the things that really helped me was making like focus notes. So
Hmm.
people make a lot of to do. Um, I don't do well with my to dos because I always end up making too many. So what
Yeah.
I've learned is let's just not do everything because there's a lot of things to do, and focus on either something that is due next or just what I can do, like accomplishable during the day.
Yeah.
And that really helps. Kind of
And I've
making, yeah.
oh no, no, no. I was just trying to add on to your like to-do
Mhm.
list, but no,
Go ahead.
you should go ahead and finish.
Okay, yeah, so I kind of similar to the reasoning for that is I think if you have a unproductive day or a day where you're not like doing a lot, a small minor thing, whether it's relaxation or like just taking care of yourself, can really make you feel different. Like, oh, okay, at least I did something, right? So like small things at a time. Getting back up is hard, and making that change in your way of thinking is very difficult in the beginning. And like them said, I am also learning. It's very much, I'm still going through the motions every day and kind of making sure that, you know, I'm not. It's a learning lesson for all of us all the time.
I mean, I feel like everyone fail in a different way every day, right? I mean, if someone tell you that they're not failing, like don't trust them. They're probably a machine or something. But
Even machines fails.
yeah, even machine fail. Like those really high accuracy machine learning model, like they still fail at 0.001%, right?
Yeah.
Um, and I just feel like to add on your to-do list, I feel like when you fixated on like one goal, I mean, for me at least, when I fixated on one goal for the day and I couldn't do it, I just feel really bad because I'm like, I have only one thing to do for the entire day, one goal. So why am I not accomplishing it?
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, I would say like to add on to Karina uh point. Yeah, sometimes a lot of people are you know I just feel like something called like false positivity. Like it's okay to acknowledge that your failure is a failure. Not every failure is a success per se. Because when you're down, it's really hard to feeling positive and let yourself feel negative for a moment. But yeah, but I would say like one of the things that I learned from my setbacks, like it's okay to feel like you're a failure because, you know, it's a
Yeah.
normal thing.
Yeah, I like that. That was my next point, kind of might be just acknowledging. I really love how we're just kind of really agreeing with each other here, but I can't disagree with that in any way. Acknowledging that your setback is a setback is really important, because if you are in denial, then you can't move on from it, and it's going to be like stuck in the back of your head, and you're going to keep coming back to it. But acknowledging that it's a setback, only a temporary one, is very important, because after you realize it's a setback, you can be like, oh well, okay, well, that was not a success, but I can try again, and I did my best. And that's the most important, I think. Making sure that you are looking forward into the future, kind of
Mhm,
wrapping up the past, like we've been saying, okay, it's over, let's focus on the next page, let's keep
mhm.
going. um, I think that's really important. um,
And I would say like motivation is really overrated. I would say, like yeah,
yeah.
motivation get you started on a lot of things, but I think what keep you going is discipline. And it's like I think that's like something that I recently learned because at the beginning of my fall term, I would have a lot of motivation because I was like, oh, my co-op wasn't that great, but I'm at a new stage now because I'm starting like more like interesting courses for my master portion. Um, so I was like, oh, like I'm really motivated. I want to do all this thing, but then on week 4, I just like drop everything. I stopped showing
Yeah.
up to classes. And like I just lose all motivation. But I would say what keep me going is like I was like also in classes that was doing group projects, so I have to maintain certain level of discipline even though I don't show up to class. Like to follow through with my commitment with my teammates. So, what keep me showing up every day is my discipline, right? So like I try to show up every day because I don't want to like fail other and like provide no commitment at all to what I have promised them. And so like trying to repeat one thing every day, trying to build a discipline for yourself, I think is really important. And it's really also something that I'm trying to build some sort of discipline for myself.
Yeah, self-discipline is very hard. I think you can have a habit and then break it. If you just stop doing it for one day, it might be, it's so hard to keep it going. So consistency is really, at the end of the day, the most important. Like accepting that it's okay to have break day. You can skip once, but just make sure you do show back up again, right? I think having like kind of what you mentioned briefly there, like having that social commitment. So I think there's a probably technical term for it, but I just call it social responsibility. I think it really changes the way that we act. So having someone as a friend um, remind you that you need to do something helps a lot for me. I have a good support system, kind of like keeping me in check. So if I set a goal for myself, I'm not just setting it
Hmm.
for myself, I'm also telling my friends that this is what I want to do. I have my
Hmm.
roommates and I have my friends that would just be like checking up on that. And I think it's also kind of good to have those people around when you fail as well, because they like gas you up so much. They just give you the hype, even if it was like a fail or a setback, then they tell you that it's okay. That's totally normal. And
Hmm.
you are good at this and you're good at that. You're still doing other things. So it's really important, because sometimes you forget as well that you're doing a lot and you're putting a lot on yourself. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, And I would say like to add on to that, I feel like to and also like to resonate with my previous point about like social media and LinkedIn. I feel like, like people will only share if they feel really, really proud of something, right?
Mm,
Um, so you're really seeing one side of the story where people are super proud of something they have accomplished. And on those platforms, you don't really see people sharing their failure stories.
mm,
Because I mean, if they do and they say, "Oh my God, it's a success," it usually, I don't know. I think for me, it usually comes out like false positivity.
yeah.
So I would say like
Mm,
probably like something that you probably like have other people tell you a lot, but like try to stay away from those kind of platform.
mm,
And like even if you do stay on them, just try to, I guess, like compartmentalize yourself away from this kind of thoughts that, oh, everyone is so successful.
mm. You should know that behind every success is many failures, many. It's like so many, there's been so many like memes and ads, but it's true. And I'd like to call myself that I'm on my way to success, but I can't call myself successful yet. But that's okay because I know that I failed a lot, which means that I am on my way to success. That's kind of like the way it is. So knowing that the more failures you make, the more um, setbacks that you have, the more you're learning. Every time you're failing or kind of not being able to do something, that's a lesson, and you're picking up a new set of like skills that you need to work on. You're learning of your weaknesses and knowing what you can improve on. So that's the learning opportunity. Like for me personally, um, like looking back at the setup of the hackathon, that was kind of a deciding moment for me where I got that kind of, oh my God, there's so much I still don't know. And when I look back at it, I see it as a not then, obviously, like for a year after, I still like try to go to hackathon and I was like proving myself and getting there. But I kept like thinking, oh, still there's something else to do. And now that I'm graduating and I'm kind of like over my hackathon failures, then I'm like, oh, well, these actually taught me a lot of things. And I picked up so many skills that
Mhm.
I didn't exactly polish yet, but was like on my to be improved on list, and it was really helpful. So yeah.
Yeah, I agree with Karina. Like, you gotta do things that scare you. I say, like, I don't know. For me, lead codes scare me because I just cannot do coding in a time manner. And if you're making me that, I'd rather not do it. But I feel like it's a really important things to do. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
uh, yeah. So I would say like, um, I think like I heard how you pronounced your name the first meeting that we had together. So I hope that I got it correctly.
Oh no, shoot, I'm
Oh,
sorry, my screen went away. Excuse me. I'm just so yeah, I think that kind of wrapped up our like at the talk. If you guys have like more things, feel free to chat in the comments. But next slides would be just like certain tips that we have for when you do a hackathon and what you should do and what you should keep in mind. So just like a brief pause for questions so far.
and I forgot to add one thing. So I would say like something that really I think would really translate into like hackathon or like any real life work is teamworking. And I feel like you probably hear this a lot, like throughout your freshman, sophomore, like co-op. But I really come to appreciate it when I have classes, and I feel like I wouldn't have been able to do it all without my classmate. Like there are days that I don't know like how to solve something, and I reach out to them, and they also don't know how to solve it either. But like they have other ideas that patch up my ideas. So yeah, so I would say like a few things that keep me going through my classes this year is actually my classmates. So
I
like I was
agree.
like same thing for like hackathon, right? Like you're already in a group of teams, so it's really beneficial if you can maintain some sort of constant communication and always reaching out to see like how your team members are doing.
Yeah. Especially that's like even more important when you are working with a team of strangers, right? Like team of people that you haven't got to work with before, just like people you don't know that well. I think it's very important to know that you need to be proactive in terms of talking to them.
Yeah,
Because it's hard, but those are the people that that's going to end up making either your life really difficult or really easy. And always make sure you are communicating.
yeah. And like a thing that I really appreciate out of like online learning is like the constant use of Discord and Slack channel. So if you don't know something, you can just post it on those kind of channel and be like, oh,
Mm,
did anyone get this? And a lot of the time, other people have some idea, but like they didn't finish it.
yeah, it's
Can
like
I
a
say something?
yeah. Go
Sorry.
ahead.
I was gonna say I
Oh,
agree with what you guys said earlier about how when you fail you have to like sit back and like actually think about reevaluate, like accept the failure, but then at the same time like your definition of failure might be like someone else's like success. So you might think you're failing, but if you actually like put yourself back in like the third person, you can see that you're moving ahead. Even though you feel like at that point you're behind,
Mhm.
you're actually like just trying and attempting to do something. It puts you further than you were before, which I think is a good point.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
definitely. Those links really well into our tips, actually. We kind of already touched on the second point about communicating with your team members. Um, it's a long project, longer than the weekend, so you have way more chances to message them and kind of keep yourself and your teammate in check. And I think this is interesting because this is for I took this point, have a good definition of done for your team from one of the classes that I TA for at Drexel. So having a definition of done really changes the way that you shape your project. A lot of people can be overachiever and underachiever. So it
Mhm.
really is a compromise of the team. So when you're working with a team for your project to be um, able to complete, it has so many variety. Like you could complete it on so many different levels. So make sure that you're talking with your team about that. Like from the beginning to the end, keep reevaluating it as well. Like just make sure that you are staying on the right track according to yourself and everyone else. Um, and make sure you are taking breaks away from the project when you get a roadblock of what do you could call it, like a code block. Yeah. If you have a code block, just take a break. Don't stress about it. I
I
mean,
hear roadblock a lot.
yeah,
Roadblock.
roadblock. Don't try to like bang your head against it. Make sure you're talking to maybe your professors, maybe someone in the channel that is like a professional that knows like a subject matter, just your team member who might have more experience with it. They can definitely help even if they don't have experience. Just adding a new perspective really change things. Um, yeah, especially when Stack Overflow doesn't work anymore, you gotta ask. Yeah, Mm, I think another thing important to focus on is focus on what you want to do. Don't do something that you don't like, right? Like Ben said, you just it's hard to have motivation on its own, let alone having motivation for something that you don't even like or not remotely interested in the beginning. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree, Chang. I think you got all the points.
Mm. And last but not least, you do just have fun. You do you. Don't stress too much because at the end of the day, it's a process. You have to work at it and keep working until you get there. So it's gonna be long and you just have to be able to enjoy the journey. Like just have fun. Go make some new friends, have uh fun with your project, something to talk about. Like enjoy your hackathon. Oh, anything you do for that matter. Yeah. So I know we have like 20 minutes left for our meeting. I'm not sure. I want to hear from our audience if anyone has questions. If you guys want to share stories about your setback or something that you're struggling with, or just, anything to share.
Anyone have any questions? Feel free to shout it out or write in the chat. Want to share any experiences?
Yeah, experiences that if you have something to share, like maybe your own setback that you, even if it's small, like something maybe not related to technical, even just like in life in general.
Oh, there's setbacks all the time. It's
Yeah.
just how you, like you said, just how you learn from it and bounce back from it. Just part of working is setbacks. It's a lot of project work, and what I do is a lot of projects and events and logistics, and there's always walls that are put up, and there's always challenges that are put in front of you, and it's just how you can work around those challenges and find solutions to make everyone happy. Sometimes you just can't do that, and you have to find solutions that work out that just make the best of something. Whether it's in life, career, at a hackathon. I mean, being involved in Codefest for so long, you certainly see, I've seen many situations where teams will spend an entire day working on a project and leave that night and not come back. I've seen a lot of things where teams will spend a whole day working on a project and then overnight they completely change their project. The best situation I remember is there was a team a couple years ago that worked all day, and then it was 3 people and 2 of them never came back the next day, and the one who came back, he wanted to continue, and he presented his project and he did pretty well. So always just find a way. Always try to find a way.
Yeah. I think that's really important. That's something that we didn't actually directly point out. Not giving up is really important, because even it could be a really big or small setback, but not giving up when you are faced with the obstacle and trying your best at it before you assume that failure is at the end is important. Because sometimes you can get really demotivated and you can see yourself kind of like not going anywhere, but you lose all the chances that you don't take. You loses all the chances that you don't take. So yeah.
Yeah, my kids play sports now. And my older son is 13 and he's really into basketball. And sometimes I tell him to shoot more, shoot. And he's like, I don't want to miss. And I said, well, I mean, the famous quote that's out there is you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky said that. And I actually bought him a thing for his room, just a big sign to put over his bed. Just, you miss 100% of the shots. You never know. Take the shot, you don't know. Can't tell you how many times here at CCI we've taken shots at new projects, at trying new things, trying new programming, and it's worked and it hasn't worked, and you just if it works, great. If it doesn't, you just come up with the next idea.
I don't know how relevant this is, but that's links back to, because the company that I'm going to work at is a financial tech company, and they make a lot of money from trading, but there's a lot of risk, there's a lot of fails. So to be honest, it's kind of crazy how much money is invested, how many chances that they take with just 2% of succeed. You still can be very successful even if you don't it's kind of more like the more you try, then the more likely you are going to succeed. If you don't try at all, then there's no chance of succeeding at all, and it's just, if you don't try, then that's already a failure, right? So yeah, it's kind of funny because now that I've linked that, I never thought that before, but when you're investing, buying, trading, it's very likely that you don't earn anything, that it's not a winning deal, but just the 1 time or 2 times that you win, that might really just get you so far.
I feel like, yeah, I agree with your point. Persistence is really important, and not giving up. I also want to add that a lot of time the decision to keep going should also be based on your risk assessment skill. So like if you know something that is not good for you, or like not good for like anything relating to you, and you know that like maybe continuing isn't the best choice, then it's not entirely harmful to reconsider your decision to keep going, or like to persevere or not.
Yeah, that's true. That's important. We don't always have to force ourselves to do something that like doesn't make sense for us. If it's like again, right, your definition of success and
Mhm.
failure really makes a difference. Like what are you trying to accomplish? Does it really matter for you at the end? Is important. It's not really a fail if you didn't want something in the beginning and you didn't get it, then that's not a failure. That's just life. It's just whatever, right? It
Mm-hmm.
happens. um
Um, yeah, I agree. And oh, also, our audience, I have a question. So, Elizaveta, is that how you say your name?
You can say Lisa.
Eliza.
Amazing.
Okay. Eliza said, what if you don't feel motivation anymore and don't feel like doing things you used to enjoy? She has been trying to get out of this state, but it's hard. And they ask if you have any tips or advice.
Do you want to go first, or should I go first?
Yeah, so I would say like this is something that I'm still experiencing. Just because like I feel like I used to be very very outdoorsy, or like very outgoing. I used to play frisbee in the fall, like in outside in the fall. Sorry, in the spring, soccer in the fall, and like doing whatever in the winter, like skiing, whatever. And I feel like for the last 2 years, I haven't had the chance to like be as active as I wanted to be, and I feel like growing up, this has been a really integral part of my life, like being active, being outside. Um, so that is something that I'm still struggling with, but I would say you gotta ask yourself one thing, like which one make you happier, like sitting inside and like coding for 8 hours, or like doing like something that you really enjoy, right? And I'm not saying like if you have like a lot of commitment to meet, you should like drop everything and go like skiing. But I'm saying try your best to, like, no matter how small, try your best to have a small time a period in your day to do things that you like. And if your schedule is so hectic that is blocking you from doing that, then maybe you should reconsider if it's worth burning yourself out by overloading yourself and not doing things that you enjoy.
Yeah, I really agree with your points that making sure that you try to spend some of your day. I think if I were to give my personal advice, uh, I also I'm often faced with this kind of things that I used to like and I wish I still like doing it, but I just like it's a weird state to be in because you want to do the things that you like, but there's not enough time or there's not enough like wish for it. You don't feel that urge anymore and there's no passion. And that's very it can be quite deathly. I think honestly, it's so dangerous to be in that state and acknowledging that you need to kind of do something to get out of it is really important already because sometimes you might just like get so far into it and you like don't want to leave. So I think that's already a good thing that you are doing, like trying to get out of it. um and then I think one of the things that I was doing was taking a break from social media because I don't know. I think social media changes the way that you look at your life too much, so much to the point that the things that you're doing don't seem. It's kind of it's not comparison, but so much just kind of not being in your life so much in other people's life, and you're not appreciating yourself enough. So taking a break from social media really helped me. And I think also another thing is when you do have the opportunity to, and if you don't, then you have to create that opportunity. You have to create that time in your day to kind of sit. And I sat there and just kind of brainstormed out like my life together, kind of what I used to do, what I want to do now, what I want to do. It seems like a lot, but it isn't a lot at all when you actually just put the time into it and do that, thinking about what you want to be doing right now in this moment, or taking notes of those things if you don't have time. I tend to take notes a lot on my phone, and then kind of when I have time, I would sit down and kind of go through my notes and see. And doing that, it's hard to get into it in the beginning, but eventually you get into this rhythm of new hobbies. Like you don't necessarily have to keep loving the same thing that you already did before. I am a skater, but I don't always skate. Sometimes I change into running, and like I just switch it up sometimes because things do tend to get boring, and you don't always have to have the same thing. Make sure that you're exploring, and there's a lot of things to do out there. And it's hard to spend time with your friends when you're so busy, but just going out with your friends, have a coffee or doing something, just have a chat would be really helpful. For me personally, that's what I did.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and I really I agree with you. And I also think that I feel like for me personally, I feel like I'm really privileged to be able to let's say like this term I'm taking too many credits, right?
Mhm.
I can say, oh, I dropped this class and make my schedule 12 credit per term. Or I just feel lucky that I don't have to do at this point, like at this stage in my life, like I have other source of financial support that I don't have to really stress myself out too much with supporting myself. So I feel like I'm privileged to be able to say like, oh, I will just drop this and be fine. Like, and I know that dropping this will make me happy, but it doesn't really affect my livelihood in any way. So I feel really privileged that way, and I know that a lot of people don't have that kind of privilege. So it's really sometimes it's kind of hard to like for them to drop things and just be like, oh, this is obviously stressing me out. I'm just gonna drop it. Like, let's say they're working 2 jobs to support themselves, and on top of that, they are taking like 15 credit load, right? And so it's kind of hard, but I would say, I think like I would say like I would try my best to give advice, but I would say in this situation, it's most likely. So yes, I think the advice still stand that like try your best to like just even the smallest portion of your day doing things that make you happy, like make you genuinely happy.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with the dropping idea though. I think it doesn't have to be that you can't afford it. I think the privilege is what you create. So I am personally taking 19 credits right now, and I'm trying to graduate early. And I've made a lot of goals and decisions because I was motivated for one thing. I wouldn't have done any of this, but I so kind of just to tie it to the questions more, I think when I didn't have motivation for anything, it was because I was burnt out, and also because I had this kind of gut feeling that I wanted to do something else. I know that there's something out there other than what I'm doing that I wanted to do, and I just didn't have the courage to take up on that, not the courage to grasp onto that like gut feeling, kind of like a intuition thing. But then I somehow did. I kind of said, I'm very young, and there are a lot of things like waiting for me. I don't have to be dragged down. Like I shouldn't be spending my young years trying to do something that doesn't matter to me. So I think that made me make the decision to change my timeline to graduate earlier, to start doing things that I enjoy doing more, and my career aspect, like aspiration, changed a little bit. I want, even though I'm in computer science, and I am going to a tech company eventually. I'm trying to find my ways to education because that's where I care, what the field that I cared about. And I think that's something important for everyone. Like you don't have to be stuck in the thing that you're doing. Just be aware of sorry, Karina, maybe you could link for us. Thank you. Yeah, so I think because we all have different things that we care about and it's very personal, being motivated by the same thing that everyone else is being motivated by will, even if you were originally motivated in those things yourself, you're allowed to change your aspiration. You can change, even if it's like daily, like that's fine as well. Just making sure that you're self-aware and you care about yourself. So do what you love, do what you enjoy. That's really is important. That's like the way that you don't fail. Like if you are doing something you like, you can't exactly fail at it. You're just enjoying your time.
Yeah. And I think like I feel like a lot of time like you don't have motivation because you're also depressed. And it's also important to remind ourselves that I know it's like really, really hard in this moment to think that, oh my God, that is temporary. And I feel like your life's gonna be like that. But I think it's like it takes a lot of will and perseverance to remind ourselves that this is just temporary, even though it doesn't feel like it. And try to, I don't know, I feel like everything will work out eventually. And you end up in a place that, that will make you happy in a way. And sometimes you have to work for it. Sometimes you have to work toward a goal that make you happier, that allow your, allow yourself to be treated better.
I hope you guys enjoyed the we have like 3 minutes coming up, so I hope you have enjoyed this panel and have somewhat been inspired to join and do more things that you like, and uh, yeah, keep yourself afloat.
So this was a great session. A lot of information, a lot of great information, not just for CodeFest, but for just life in general. So as we begin to wrap up, I want to thank everybody. I want to thank the WiCS team. WiCS does an amazing job at the university, and we work very closely with them at the college. So keep looking out for information about WiCS events coming up. We look forward to working more with WiCS going forward, putting on more events. If you have any questions for WiCS, their information is in the chat. My name is Dave Rakin. My information is in the chat as well. I am the events and logistics manager at Drexel CCI. So any event information, any questions about events, questions about CodeFest, anything like that, you can reach directly out to me. I'll be happy to speak with you. And I want to thank everybody for attending, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thanks, everyone.
All right, thanks everyone so much for coming. Enjoy your Friday and your weekend.
Thank you, everyone.